Today on BCPOV, it's time for a bike check. As many of you may have seen, last March I received a new frame, wheel set, suspension and tires from my sponsors Norco, Noble Wheels, SR Suntour and WTB. It was my first time working with sponsors and I was eager to test out my new steed. I built up the bike with tools from the van in a public park in Arizona, complete with random kids walking around in the background. After finishing the build, it was straight to one of the rockiest riding zones in the area, South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. It was a great way to test out the new bike and set everything up. Since then, it's been to 2 bike park opening days, Whistler and Sun Peaks. It's participated in 10 days of Enduro racing, including 6 days of blind racing at Trans BC and 2 days of hell at the Enduro World Series in Whistler with my YouTuber friends. I've taken it on world champion cross-country and downhill courses, and it's done at least 30 days in bike parks across North America. In the 8 months I've had the bike, it's done over 3,000 hard kilometers. And of course, with time, parts did change or get replaced. As a result, the bike is not the same bike you saw get built up last spring. But let's start with the frame, which is still the same. It's a 2019 carbon Norco Range in size large. I chose to get the version which accommodates 29-inch wheels. It has 170 millimeters of travel in the front and 150 in the back. It's designed for enduro racing, and that's exactly what I used it for. When Norco designs mountain bikes, they do something special with them. As the size of the frame goes up, so do the chainstays. Basically, the whole frame grows, not just the front triangle. This helps to keep the rider centered on the bike. And as much sense as this makes, not many manufacturers do that. So I give Norco 2 thumbs up for doing this. As for the reliability of the frame, I can honestly say I've had absolutely 0 problems with it. In fact, I've never serviced the bearings, and the suspension linkage is still running great. As someone who travels and lives in a van, reliability may be one of the most important factors, since mailing replacement parts can be tricky when on the road. Earlier, I mentioned that some of the parts on the bike have changed, and this next change was for you guys, my viewers. Noble Wheels sent me these carbon TR38 wheels with Industry 9 101 hubs. These were great wheels, but some of you were concerned about the noise the hubs were making, saying they were distracting in my videos. Well, that group of commenters were in luck as Onyx released their new Vesper hub, which is completely silent. A new wheel set was sent to me with those hubs, and the videos have been buzz-free ever since. We can thank the guys over at Noble Wheels for that. And as with the frame, both wheel sets have been bulletproof with 0 problems. As for the tires on those wheels, yes, those have been changed as well due to wear. My current tire setup are products from my tire sponsor, WTB. On the back, I'm running a 2.4-inch WTB Judge with the tough casing, and on the front, I'm running their new 2.5-inch Verdict tire with their light casing. As you may know, tires are extremely important when it comes to the performance of your bike, and with my preference for the grippiest tire possible, this combination is hard to beat. In fact, this may be one of the best tire combos I've come across. Super confidence inspiring. On the suspension side of things, up front I'm running the SR Suntour Durolux with the RC2 damper. This means that the fork has high and low speed compression adjustments as well as rebound. I run it with about 60 psi, and I've maxed out the volume spacers to add more progression to the travel. But my favorite feature on the fork might be the integrated mudguard. Not many suspension manufacturers do this, so I give SR Suntour 2 thumbs up for doing that. On the back, you may recall that I started with a Suntour Edge shock. Many of you commented that this seems somewhat mismatched to the bike due to its lack of piggyback. And those commenters were correct. My friends at Suntour sent over a shock better suited for the job, the Tri-Air. Equipped with a piggyback, this shock was designed to handle the type of riding I do. The tuning options for this shock are plentiful as it allows volume spacers to be added to both the negative and positive air chambers. I settled on 2 spacers in the negative chamber and 4 on the positive to add more progression. Next, let's take a look at the cockpit. I'm running a set of 800mm carbon handlebars featuring all my sponsors' logos. I'm using the same old 35mm race face stem I've been running for the last 4 years. As for the grips, I'm running my go-to, the ODI Rogue. Thick and soft, they dampen much of the vibrations coming from the bike, helping with hand fatigue. In order to slow down, we need some brakes, and these are my favorite, Shimano Saint downhill brakes. I've been running these for many years now, and they're still the brake for me. With 4 pistons pushing the finned brake pads, these are some of the most powerful brakes on the market. As for the rotors, I'm running Shimano Ice Tech with 8-inch diameter on the front and 7 inches on the back. On the left side, I've got the 9.8 lever operating my dropper post. It's got a cartridge bearing inside it, making it extremely smooth. It also has a failure point designed within it. If you manage to hit the lever in a crash, the plastic piece inside will break, saving your lever from further damage. Buy a new one for $5 and you're back in business. As for the dropper post it operates, we have the Bike Yoke Revive. Featuring 185mm of stroke, this post may be one of the most reliable bicycle products I've ever owned. That's because it has a feature that the post is named after. As you may know, many dropper posts will go spongy like this because of air in the system. Well, this post has the same problem, except you can revive it with this reset valve. Just twist the valve open, push the post down, and then close the valve again. The post will be good as new now with all the air bled out of the system. Attached to the top of the post, we have my saddle, the Tioga Spider Outland. It's somewhat unusual with all the holes in it, but it's my go-to saddle. In spite of its uncomfortable, rigid appearance, it's actually quite comfortable and flexible. This is my 5th one, as I broke the one in the build video and the ones before that. They're not the most sturdy saddle, but they certainly work for me. Just below, we have my cycling GPS, the Wahoo Element. Its unusual location is to avoid damage from crashes. Many people have asked how I mounted it here, but it's nothing special. I just used a quarter-turn mount and strapped it on with a couple of rubber O-rings that it came with. The GPS also came with a wheel speed sensor, the data from which I used to get an accurate speed overlay on my race videos. Now let's head down to the drivetrain. In the back, I'm running an old 11-speed SRAM cassette with an even older X01 derailleur. It could probably use a replacement, but well, it still works. Up front, I've got some XT cranks with a 30-tooth chainring, and I've added a cheap chain guide to keep the chain from falling off. As for the pedals, I've got something completely different for me. As you may know, I started with some Crank Brothers Candy pedals. I then moved to the Crank Brothers Mallet DH pedals, but now I've done away with clipless altogether and switched to flat pedals. These are the 1UP Components composite pedals. When deciding which pedal to get, I asked my followers on Instagram which pedals were their favorite, and these pedals were the most popular suggestion. It's a big change though, and I'm still getting used to them.
Oh god. Jumps.
But the grip is good, and so far, I've managed not to cut myself on the pins. And that's my 2019 Norco Range in red. It's been a great bike so far. It's held up to all the abuse I put it through, and it's still running like a dream. And that's invaluable to me. I'm happy to ride this bike for a while longer, so keep an eye out for more videos with it. If you're interested in some of the parts on this bike, I've put some links in the description so you can go check them out yourself. But as always, thanks for watching, and stay gnarly.